It takes a little bit of time to do it, not that much. So I guess after you do that, it doesn't you can't just delete it. So I gotta go back into the whole thing and delete the other one. That's gonna look kind of funny to have two different videos in there that are the same title on it. I just went ahead and titled it election results and thoughts. If I don't get to that, I'm sorry. I just decided I'm gonna write that because I think everything has everything to do with everything. That's where it is. That's where it is right now. Wow. Yeah, I don't feel up to talking today. I don't really feel up to it. I did get some more done though. In there. I had to get a lot of stuff cleaned in there today. In the bathroom. That bathroom. It's gonna take more time. But the main thing, that whole toilet area, that's all taken care of. Yeah, it's like Tom Smith leaving and everything. It's like leaving that bathroom. It's like, yeah, kind of saw that coming though. To be fair though, the guy works a lot, so I didn't really hold it against him. He's a good person. It's a lot of work to keep up. Just having a house. Like this is not even a full size house. This is a small little condo townhouse. I mean, it's not even that hardly. It's tiny. Absolutely. And do you see how much work goes into just that? Think about that. That's why I want to keep everything up. It's important to me. Making sure everything's clean and on the up and up. It's very important to me. But yeah. A lot of dark stuff on YouTube, I'll tell you that. I have been actually watching that stuff. Like everybody is just so upset and mad, and then a lot of it would actually be, if you really look into it, I think a lot of it's staged. I, I could be wrong, but I think it's a lot of it's staged. You know, these reactions and stuff. People are so upset and angry and mad. And it's like there's a chance in more ways than one that I think a lot of it's staged. Sure, sure. I wouldn't put it past a lot of these people. I mean, I just don't. I don't buy a lot of it. This whole election thing, yeah. And I'm not going to be one of those channels that's going to tell you what you want to hear, what you don't want to hear. I'm going to just say what I see. And one thing I try to do with my channel when I'm talking, I try to be honest about what I learn, what I see. It's not about, you know, it's not about, oh, this is how I feel and you should feel the way I feel. I don't, I think enough people do that. I'm not a very good channel, by the way. I don't know if you've noticed. I don't have a whole lot of viewership. I mean, I'm pretty new. I don't know that I want to make an impression like that. You know, just saying. Got some of the best YouTubers. Real edited, really incredible content from a lot of these folks. And it's funny because they put so much work and so much effort. YouTube channels. You know how many of them are. They are real well edited. They have really good quality sound. They have all this nice equipment. These people, and then you watch their channel, and it's like, what am I? What did I do? What did I learn? Now, I mentioned some of the channels that I do watch that I think that I would recommend. I'm going to say it again. I think I've mentioned it before in other videos that I did before. I always touch upon some of the better channels that I think that are more quality, and they're not real well edited type channels. They're kind of like what I'm doing right now, but just better than me. But they say things so much better than I can. By the way, there are people like Michael Jameson, who lives in South Africa, and Louis Marco, who lives in North Africa, who actually moved to Canada, I believe. Yeah, he's from North Africa. But these are the two channels that I could start you out with that kind of help you understand what I do find important when I watch a YouTube video. And the kind of YouTubers that I like, candid, honest people. That goes a long way with me. It's like you can have a really good edited video, and believe me, it's great to watch something that someone actually puts together, and it's like, oh wow, it's well edited and everything, but it's like I don't really feel like I'm learning a lot. And I understand too. A lot of it's entertainment. We need that. Let's be fair. We need that. But sometimes the best quality of learning is something that's unedited, something that's just a person talking into a camera at some crazy hour of the night. Or I can tell you that I've learned a lot more watching channels like that. No offense to all you guys that actually are good YouTubers. Obviously, you have a platform and you're making a lot of money doing it, hopefully. If you look at my numbers, you know, like I said, I'm just saying I get more out of that, and I use those kinds of things to inspire me. So that's all. And when it comes to something like the election results, or just many other things, it's like I like to have a more adult approach. I like to be mature. I love maturity. I think we need to have more maturity on the YouTube, if I'm being fair. And I'm pretty crazy. You probably know. I'm eccentric. I'm not like most people. But I still think that if we're eccentric and we're different, especially some of you people who do feel different, be responsible with it, and it'll go so much farther. I promise. If you handle the things that you feel are different about you, unless you're hurting yourself or anybody else, we'll talk about that too. But you might be a bit different. You might feel like a bit eccentric, maybe like me, different. And there's people who are just doing things that are wrong, and they're different. No, they're not. Exercise a little bit of maturity and have respect for the things that you do like, and it'll go a longer way. And I stick to that. And it's like I know this. 'Cause my dad used to be hard on me because I was always kind of different. And whenever I thought I saw an opportunity to be funny in public, make a few people laugh, he'd come down on me and say, "What are you doing?" And he'd put me in check real quick. And of course, I didn't agree, and I still don't. I make a few people laugh. It's innocent, like doing a Mr. Bean skit in a public place, that kind of stuff. I used to do that when I was younger. My dad would give me a hard time about it, make me think about what I did and what I was thinking. Then I look at some of these people on Tickety Talk, on these YouTube channels, and I go, wow, I didn't never do that. My dad would actually kill me. But then you see how much money these people make, and you see how successful they are. And it's like, well, I don't know. I leave these things on the table. I let you guys figure them out too. I'm trying to kind of I think out loud, and that's what I do with my channel. I think out loud. I'm not telling you this is this and that is that. Yeah, I mentioned a guy named my XKCD Hat guy several videos back. If you're not familiar with him, he's a guy that he went viral for doing a video. I believe it's called The Fourth Dimension, described by a high school student. If I'm remembering that wrong, let me know. All I know is this guy went on to really become something. Not that he expected it. I don't think it was even his intention. But some of the content that you'll see on his channel really stimulates me and gets me thinking too. Even inspires me. It's like I'm more drawn to a mind that's not afraid to actually be a little more realistic, but very do you notice how mature he is about his disposition? He's obviously not like most people. But do you see the maturity and the way he handles it? That impresses me more than anything. It's the because now I know I'm really watching somebody who has a genuine interest in people. It's not just somebody trying to make a name for themselves. No offense, I'm not dogging on anybody, you know. It's just I get more out of I think a lot of us could all agree with that. You know, you'll have like some bad quality podcast video with the screen all split up with everyone talking to each other, and it's like the quality's kind of bad. Some people keep freezing up, but what they're talking about is so interesting. I don't care about how well a video is edited. I don't really care. I'm on here to learn. I'm on here to gain a better understanding. It's the whole point. That's the whole point behind this. Wonder if this. Oh, it looks like. Yeah, they didn't get anybody. It went to one and it dropped out. Well, darn. Yeah, because you can see who's if someone's invested in the conversation or not. You could tell I'm an old timer. I don't know how things work. I have to be honest though, YouTube is easier than most other things are. But no, I saw that somebody was on there and then they jumped off. Like, was I just seeing things, or was that I don't know. Oh no, maybe I was. Maybe I was just seeing things. Well, I don't have any subscribers, hardly. I don't even know. What do I have? Like 20 people? Yeah, I just had the wild idea to do this. I did this one time last year. Oh, I am very, very, very tired. I don't know. I may not keep going with this video. I might just pack it up for tonight. Yeah, I'm pretty tired. I don't know what's happening. I think what it could be too, and I've mentioned this, is the weather changing. I mean, we're not cold right now. It's Las Vegas. It's not cold, but we had this really hot, extraordinarily hot summer. And we went from really hot to just nice out. It might get a little chilly at night. And it's like my body's trying to figure it out because then I get up the next day and it's kind of warm again. It's not really like at night. It gets a little bit chilly, but it's still it's like my body's trying to go, what season is it? If you live in Vegas, you probably understand. It's either hot or not so hot. Mm. But yeah, I'm just kind of rambling now. I'm not really talking about the election because I'm kind of afraid to. I thought I had the balls to do it. I thought I could do it. I thought I could do it like I do it in here all the time because now I'm filming myself. So it's like, I don't know. I don't know because I don't have that many subscribers as it is, and it's like, what if I really upset somebody? Because it's that sensitive. It's that sensitive, and I'm afraid. I'm afraid, and I'm trying really hard to try to reach out to people who feel alone, who feel like they're in some dark corner somewhere that might get what I'm saying, and maybe people that watch this, they might offer me something that's pretty valuable. You know, I don't want to be a controversial channel. It seems like it's so easy. Like I have every idea in my head going whizzing by. Then I go and I click live and I'm like, you just don't have that. I don't have it, guys. I don't have it. I don't know. I just don't want to step on anybody because I didn't vote. Yeah, I decided ultimately that yeah, I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it. It's a Fortune 500 election. So it's all about the rich people, whether the rich people that are on the far left and the rich people on the far right. Whoever wins becomes more rich, I guess. Well, that's how I take it. I mean, I it's like what about, like I was saying, like what about Democrats? They're not like that. They're not like that at all. They're anti-corporation. They're pro-corporation. And you see all these people that they're emotionally attached to that side of things, and I don't know, and I'm not. It's not up to me to tell you, oh, this is actually wrong. You shouldn't think this way. I don't advocate for that. I just don't think that we have Democrats anymore. We have far left, which on a globe, if you keep going so far left, what's going to happen is you smash into the right, and they're the same. You give somebody power, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? What do you think's going to happen? We're human beings. Anybody can be those words that everybody's passing around so easily right now. Those buzzwords. I'm sure you know what they are. People say them all the time, and I I'd like to start leaning away from using terms like that and become a little bit more literate with our actual surrounding and looking at things for what they are. It's like, why don't you like this person? And say, oh, he's a misogynist. I've never heard of that word. I never learned that word in school. I never actually heard of that word until the 2020 era. I'm 39, by the way. I never knew what the heck that word meant. That I actually had to Google that, you know? It's like that's because you live in a small world. You don't no, no, no. I think that it's okay if you think that because that's a matter of perception. It's just that we throw these things around so easily, you know. That there's a lot of words, fascism, all of those words. And I do know that one is, but I just hear it on everything I click on YouTube, those words are in there. And people use those words in every single YouTube video that I watch. And I mean every single YouTube video that I watch. I'm hearing those words, whether they're far right or far left. Can someone help me out here? Why do we have to keep using those words? Well, that's because we're trying to make a statement. Yes, I know, but when everyone's doing the same exact thing, it's not interesting anymore for one. It's just not interesting anymore. We need to reinvent ourselves. I was always left leaning, but I am not for the far left. If I've hurt anybody, I am truly sorry. Far left is not for me. If you're far left, you might as well be far right because they're the same. I can't tell the difference between somebody like a red pill type person and someone who feels strongly about something on this side. I have a very hard time distinguishing the difference. When they're both acting like that, the ego looks exactly the same. And the words, oh, those words. I'm going to try my darndest not to use those words, because I don't need to. I don't have to. So I'm not. But I'm not telling anybody what they should and shouldn't be doing. I shouldn't. I really shouldn't be. I think we should reinvent ourselves. That's my thoughts, but that could be different for someone else. That could be different for someone else. But I'm not interested in all that. It's like, look at some of these people's reactions. It's like, I can't let myself become that. I cannot let myself become somebody that way or any of these things. I have to be mature. It's all I have. I don't have the highest IQ in the world, so I got to be better at getting around it in the best way possible. And that's what I say. I try to get around things as much as I can. But part of that is facing certain realities too. You have to have a healthy relationship with yourself. If you don't, then this is probably not the channel to watch, or maybe many other channels like mine. I don't know. I'm pretty sure I'm the only one like mine. And I'm not saying that in a good way, but I don't even know if I have anybody listening to it. And see how it has like it's only one person. I'm grateful. I'm grateful. If it's just one person's better than none. Hey, it's all about quality. Quality over quantity. That's what it is all about. Quality over quantity. You can have that kind of live video where you get some thousands of people watching it. Hey, I've seen a couple of podcasts too, where it's live and there was hardly anybody on it. It's like I can't even remember what it was. I was like, and they were talking about some really valid stuff. And it's like I'll stick around for that because my mind is sharp at night too. So it's like I want to learn. I'm on here to learn stuff. But yeah, I hope I didn't hurt somebody because I saw two on there and then it went to one. I did. I must have hurt that person because of what I said. I'm not for the far left. I probably made everybody hate me because whether you like it or not, that is majority of most YouTubers are pretty. They're serious about that stuff, and I'm willing to understand and learn and understand what it is that makes a person think a certain way. But I have to be me, and I know where I stand. And for somebody like me, I can't afford a lot of things. I mean, a lot of these people. Now listen up. Look at me. A lot of these people who are really far right or far left, especially if you look at some of these far left people too, with the reactions with the election, they're real young. Some of them might not be, but they look like people who have a lot of money. I could be wrong when I say that, and if I am, you let me know. But a lot of these folks can afford their crazy. Did you hear what I just said? A lot of these people who can do these crazy things, make these crazy videos, and say really outrageous things, can afford to do it. I cannot. I cannot. I got too much to lose, but I'm certainly not rich. But I've got a lot of integrity, and I'm trying to build a lot of integrity with myself, trying to have an even healthier relationship with myself. I can't afford to do that. Now, if I was somebody with a lot of money, maybe I was, let's say I was a CEO of a new company, and it was really successful. And I decided to take a few moments to be crazy and make some nutty videos on TikTok, and I got real popular doing it, and they were real outrageous. Well, I'm famous for being crazy, but I'm also successful at something, so I don't feel so bad about how crazy I am. Well, at least I'm making this much money. You need to be able to afford your crazy, and I think that a lot of these people can afford their crazy, and I can't somebody like me who doesn't have that much money cannot afford to be crazy, unless I'm willing to become famous to be crazy. There's that. I could actually make myself famous and say some crazy, outrageous thing and become famous. I just don't feel right to doing that. I don't know, just that because I know it's not me. I don't truly feel those things. But that's what I really wanted to touch on. Not so much the results of the election. I think enough of you guys already have the that all figured out. And how I feel about that, I think at this particularly in this point in the game, all right, I think it's time for us to become better people. And I don't think we're, as a human society, we're not intelligent enough for a female president yet. I just don't think we're that intelligent enough, and that's my opinion. Hey, I would like to see that too. But do you think Americans are as intelligent? I mean, if you do, let me know. I have a lot of really wild ideas, but I don't think we're that smart. I really don't. I think there's a lot of intelligent people out there. I named a few of them. Two of them don't live in this country. So there's that. But I don't think Americans have a real good grasp of intelligence, their own intelligence. They don't have healthy relation. Most average people don't like themselves. And these are the same people that are voting. What do you think's gonna happen? Everyone hates each other. They don't even like themselves. So I'm not here to tell you, well, this is the right thing happened and this and that. I don't care about how you feel because I do care. That's part of the problem. That's part of the problem. Is that most average people do actually maybe be reveling in the situation right now or simply reacting against the situation. I'm not going to be another person to participate in that. So if this was clickbait, I'm sorry. I was going to vote for RFK. That's who I wanted to vote for. That's who I was very invested in voting for. And when he wasn't on the ticket anymore, I thought, well, I'm probably not going to vote now. I like middle ground. I'm a middle ground person. I don't like extremes. I don't like extremes. I don't think extremes are going to be successful in the long scheme of things. Okay? You can't have extremes. Extremes are driven by emotion. Emotion doesn't accomplish anything. Without logic and reason, this is what happens. Woohoo! Far right, far left. That doesn't get anything done. Promise. Doesn't. Well, anything worthwhile in the long run. And I understand how some of you feel. It would be nice to have a black president who's a female. I understand that. I get that. But there has to be more to that. It has to work. And I'm sure you guys have heard, I don't need to be another person to say that because that's not how I am. That's not me. I understand how you feel there. It's just, I don't think we, as we the people, are intelligent enough for that yet. Really far left situation, It's it's not any different from this. Look at me, I'm different. I'm like the most eccentric person. I've gotta be. I have to be. There's no way I'm not. I'm very eccentric. And when I go to hang around people around this side of the table, they're way, way more normal than me. And do you know why? Because they all feel the same way and I don't. So I'm still different. I'm politically homeless. I am politically homeless. Oh, they dropped out. Person dropped out. They're not listening anymore because they were hoping I was thinking that they were probably hoping that I was going to say something that would appeal to that, and I'm not. I'm not for that. I have to be honest though too. I have to be. See, I can't lie to people, man. I can't do that. That isn't it isn't my nature. That person dropped out on me. See how it's like I can see all that? Kind of wish I didn't. Yeah, I wish I didn't see all that. As I'm doing the video, I should be able to just tell who's like listening and looking at me at this point in the game unless I had enough subscribers, then I can see that, you know? That's funny. It's like they were probably hoping that I was gonna say something that they were hoping to hear, or I said something to disappoint that person, I'm sorry. Maybe I'm just boring. You ever think of that? Maybe I just can't hold a person's interest, you know? Look at most YouTube, channels. They're meant for a short span of attention. I'm not that kinda person. A lot of YouTubers are starting to switch gears and go into more long like, there's videos that are, like, 2 hours long. I watched a whole video on Star Trek, just like, it was a person just talking about Picard, season 3, and how much they didn't like it. 2 hours of this girl talking about what she didn't like about it. You wanna hear something? A lot of people liked it. I mean, it's okay. A lot of people were listening in. And I'm like, "Wow, I can't get one." That's funny. Don't be like, "Oh, I'm no good. It's my fault." It's like you gotta realize that that's the world we live in today, you know? People wanna hear about what's wrong with something. They wanna hear about how much you don't like something and how much you're gonna go off the handles and say something really extreme. And if you're not gonna do that, then you gotta accept that, you know? And that's what I just said earlier. I have to accept the fact that it's like I just don't have it in me. I can't say really profound things like, well, I do say profound things all the time, but outrageous things. That's just not in my nature. So it's like, why don't you be more outrageous? I think enough people have that done. Enough people have done that. I mean, I don't know if I need to be doing that too. I mean, I think I'm 39 years old, guys. I can't be doing shit. No, I mean, I gotta have some respect about myself. I can't be saying some crazy thing unless there's something like an entertainment channel. Like I'm doing something for the sake of entertainment or I'm trying to be funny. That's one thing. And you can still get in trouble for that too. And I'm not worried about getting in trouble. Who am I going to get in trouble with? I don't have any viewers on my channel. I can do whatever I want to. I really could. I just don't feel right about it. I have that moral about me, and I just can't help it. That's me. Yeah, we lost that one viewer. No, I'm kinda burnt because I said a lot last night. I got real deep last night, and I really like what I said. I had it I should have done this last night. I should have done this last night. This should have I mean, I was on fire last night. I was on fire, you know, and I was so on fire that I didn't stop to do that. Because once I would have stopped to pull this up and do all this, I would have totally lost my fire. Once I'm on a roll like that, and it's great. Usually, I'd just be talking to my friends instead of making videos. Like, I'd be hanging out talking to JD, and him and I would stay up till, like, 6 o'clock in the morning talking. We get in some real deep discussions. I miss him so bad. I miss a lot of my friends. All my friends passed away. And so this is making more sense. And that's why it occurred to me. And even then, like, if you could have a successful base on YouTube and you don't need any of those people, there's that too. I always mention that. Oh, we did get we got a viewer. Somebody said, "I'm sorry for your loss." Thank you so much. I appreciate that. That's deeply appreciated. Yeah, JD was my top best friend in the world. I've been thinking about him every day as of this month, to be fair. So I think about a lot of things. I'm a very introspective person. Everything counts with me. Everything counts with me. But yeah, usually these conversation, I'd be hanging out with him right now, and we'd be talking about these really interesting discussions, and we'd laugh, we'd say it all, and now I'm like, well, maybe I can do a YouTube. Yeah, I'll try that because I see a lot of interesting folks get on YouTube and have really good discussions, and it's just that person. It's not a real famous YouTuber, more of the candid type. I prefer that. I prefer to watch content like that. Not that I don't like other YouTubers. I think they're all very we need everything. We need it all. We need it all, man. We gotta have as much as possible. As long as it's not hurting anybody. And sometimes you'll learn something you didn't want to learn, but you're glad you learned it. There's that too. Yeah, I mentioned that. But yeah, I am very happy that I got somebody listening. Yay. This is the first time doing this, so I'm very new to this. But yeah, as far as me on talking about election results, I really don't talk about politics. That's not, it's like, oh, a lot of people say that. I don't. It's just that's a trending topic. So I thought if I threw that in the title, maybe I might hook a little bit of listeners in there. As far as my thoughts, I hope you guys don't feel upset with me, but I saw this election as a Fortune 500 election. It's all about money, you know. And at the end of the day, you know what? You got to be the bigger person. You got to look at all the things. You got to have a better version of yourself. You got to have a good relationship with yourself. That's what it comes down to, you know. That's what it comes down to. And if more people in this country actually did that, things would be very different. I think people should have more hobbies. They should be invested in things culturally. There should be a lot more investment in things you're actually into. You see the situation with dating and why dating is broken today. And I see tons and tons and tons of videos of men breaking down in their car talking about what's wrong with dating. And I did actually cover that. I didn't actually make a video about it. I talked about it. My thoughts on that and what I think it is, that I could tie that into what's going on with the election too. There's a lot of interesting things that I come up with. We worked together on a film before I forgot what it was. Film. Interesting. I wonder if it was a background situation. Like, were we background? I was, in fact, on Mall Cop 2. Yes, I was. Born. Yes, I was. I was on that too. Wow, Talib Jensen. I trying to place in my mind. I know this is Talib. I'm trying to remember. Did I that was 2014. Mall Cop 2 was 2014. Then they did Jason Bourne was in 2016. Probably earlier 2016 to be fair. The guy took you to set. Interesting. Was that Mall Cop or was that the other one? Bourne. Because I remember when I worked on that one. When I worked on that one. Yeah, I was on the day where it was in the morning and I was working the whole day. I was never in the holding area in that one. I signed on you at the pool. I really don't know. That is interesting. I have the worst memory in the world. But as I talk, I'll probably be able to jog my memory. I wonder if we were on any other sets together. Let's see something here. Now, if I click out of this, so I'm not sure how this works. Let's see. Yeah, I don't want to click out of this, but I will. Let me see if I can zoom in real quick. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Hold on. Now I'm starting to. Now that the jogging is starting to work. The jogging is starting to work. PA. I think you were a PA on that set. Am I right? Production assistant, or maybe something like that. I had Star Wars T-shirts. Let me look at that again. I was a key. Yeah, yeah. I was a key PA. That's right. That is right. Wow. And I remember when I said, "Oh, I'm going to start a YouTube channel," and you told me, "Don't make sure you don't give up and do it." Okay, now I remember. Now I remember. How interesting. Yeah, Goldman, Julie Goldman. It's funny, she's got a gig going right now. Wow, that's interesting. That was a while ago. That was such a long time ago. And here I am finally doing it. I did actually do a couple of videos. I did actually do a couple of really good videos that I didn't think would be that great. And they surprisingly became something worthwhile for just the quality. It's about quality. So you may not have a lot of viewers, but it's about quality over quantity. And that's what really comes down to. Those were great times, actually. That was a lot of work back then, too. So you could work several gigs and make a lot of money just doing background and things like that. Where today things are quite different. Thank you so much, sir. That means a lot. That means a lot. That is really cool. Yeah. Just when you thought that nobody was paying attention, somebody don't even realize it. Now I remember it. I remember it very well. The hat, wearing a wool hat. I think I remember that. Wow, that's yeah, that was Jason Bourne. And I was on Mall Cop 2 as well. That was my first that was my first background gig I ever got. And that was a lot of fun. Those were really interesting times too. Oh, wow, you've got a YouTube too. We're gonna check that out. I'm gonna definitely have to check that out. Subscribe. Yes, you did. You did tell me to keep it up. And I'm definitely gonna be doing that. I just met somebody recently. There was a house on fire just down this way. Never seen anything like that in my life. In my life. And I met a woman who was trying to help everybody around the area, and she met me, and I started talking to her. And she asked me, you know, well, you don't have to be down here. What made you come down here? It's like, I don't know. I felt like I had to be here. She was very incredibly interested in why I said that. Well, I had to. She's very interested in my YouTube channel as well. That was interesting. The house actually not that close to me, but it is. It is and it isn't at the same time. I could stick my head out the window and it looked like there was a fire just a couple of doors down. But when I got out and I walked down the street, it kept getting farther and farther away. And it looked like something I saw in a movie. Huge. Four people died. Four people died, and a woman and a kid jumped out the third floor. And it was behind this complex. And so I went to check that out the next day. There was news people there. I even managed to get in the review journal. I'm in the review journal. I actually was able to get interviewed by somebody. I was surprised. I was just going down there to check it out the next day because this was like 4 in the morning when that fire happened. So that was a that just happened too. What was it, like a week ago, 2 weeks now? I think it was about a week ago. A week ago. So it's the Southwest. You can look it up. It's a Southwest Las Vegas house fire, and it'll come right up. And there's a whole donation page and everything too. And I even there's a memorial that they started across the street from that house. So I even got a few things and put it over there too. I didn't know the people though. I didn't know who they were. It's just seeing something so profound like that. I don't even know where to start. I never seen, and then I was just talking about how I never see anything in real life. It's like every day is the same day. If you live in Vegas, you know what I'm talking about. Every day is the same day. And you'll almost be convinced that nothing could happen. Nothing happens. And you hear about all these horrible things on the news, but things don't happen in Vegas. And if they do, and you turn on the local news, well, they're not talking. So nobody's saying anything to them. So that's why I felt like I needed to find out for myself. And that's what I did. I got some interesting footage though that I put on my Instagram. And it's a deep thing and I'm actually very invested in it, even though I don't know these people. I've never seen anything like it. And I learned something that night. And I'm in this really introspective space right now. So this is actually why I do this. And it's like I was thinking maybe I should talk about these interesting topics online. I see a lot of people doing it. Maybe I should try it. So yeah, that was it felt like it was right here. Like I could turn my head and it was right here. But the more I walked, the farther that fire was getting away from me. It was odd. It was odd. And just after watching the Tropicana get imploded, which I also did some footage on that, I'm interested in this sort of thing. I'm actually I listen to cassette tapes. And I talk about this in my other video about how I use music to understand the world I live in. A very different, interesting taste in music. So if you know anything about me, music is a very big part of how my philosophy works. So I put together these cassette tapes and I mix different things together. I'll take pieces of music that I like a lot and I'll start mixing sounds and interviews and different situations that are all really happening in real time. And I start creating a listening experience that's real unusual, but you can do so much with a cassette tape. And these things are really happening. So it's like I'm trying to tell a narrative through the music I listen to. It's interesting. Is when I gotta figure out a way to load that onto the internet somehow. How does that happen? I know there's a way because I don't want to lose all that. I mean, they are cassette tapes, and yes, I'm probably the only person in the world that still listens to cassette tapes. Maybe not. Maybe not. We've talked about that. We've talked about that. You would be surprised. You'd be surprised. There's no such thing as old school. It doesn't exist. Things truly don't change. Sometimes for the better. Sometimes for the better. And I've mentioned that many times. But I do think it's interesting too, because a lot of us listen to music. You take it your phone, you stick it in your back pocket, you throw your earbuds in, and you close the world off around you. I believe in listening to music as something you treat yourself to. When you go out in public and do what you got to do, get it done. You don't need to bring your music with you when you're walking your dog or going to the grocery store, going to work. Come home and enjoy it. Maybe you'll have an idea as to what kind of music you actually want to listen to instead of something you're just kind of throwing on to cut everything away from you. So you never know who you're going to meet, where and when, for the better or for the worse. So you always want to be cognizant of where you are at all times, and that's why I don't believe in listening to music in public, unless you're traveling. Hey, maybe you're taking a road trip. Maybe you're going into, maybe you're flying to another state or another country. That's what I think listening to music in public is for. For me personally, that's me. That could be anybody, but music is something that you should treat yourself to. It should be something that you're engaging in. You're going to have a different experience when you listen to music versus consuming music, which I have talked about in my channel, my other video. So that was the video that got the most attention. I was originally going to be a toy channel. I was originally going to do toys, collectibles. And I saw how many people were doing that. I was not going to get anywhere. That's very popular. It's actually very fierce too, competition. There's people that do all kinds of different things. It's like, oh, they covered it all. It's like, well, to be fair, there are a few there's a few toy lines that are real unusual that no one knows about. But I don't have the money to go out and get them because they are very expensive, and that's if you can find them. And nobody's covered those yet. But when I talk about music, I get a lot more investment. And I think that's more important. As much as I love toys, because that's a passion of mine, I love action figures, I love toys. I'm not afraid to say it. I say it. But music has a little bit more of an investment value to it. It helps you see things beyond what you think you know. Although for the record, I do think toys have a good artistic value to them. There's sculpt work, there's a lot to be considered. And I think that's important. But yeah, there's a lot of toy channels on there, guys. There's lots. lots and lots and lots of them. And if I don't have the kind of subscribers that they have, you know, I'm just gonna keep going. I already made the decision that maybe I could still work that in. Maybe I could still. But I think at the end of the day, music comes first. That's what comes first. That's what changed my life. It changed my life when I was 18 years old. I listened to a band that was recommended to me by a DJ that I was listening to back in 2004 named Dusty Street. Now she came from LA and we had a radio station out here. You may remember it in Las Vegas, Star 102.7, the 80s station. How many of you guys might remember that? Now I want to talk about a little bit of nostalgia here. That that was just your run in the mill basic classic rock station at the end of the day. So it was like, well, I guess it's not that special, right? And then when she came in, it was later on. I think in 2003, she got a spot for Sunday every 9 o'clock till 12 midnight. All the unusual music from the 80s that you never hear anywhere. And man, I love that stuff. And I was already listening to that kind of stuff. And then she introduced more things that I had not heard before. And one of them was Cabaret Voltaire. It changed my life. It changed my life. I can't even describe it. It's a profound thing. It's a very profound thing. Goes a long way. And I did describe that in my other video. That's that same video I keep talking about. How Cabaret Voltaire changed me as a listener. So I think I did that in 2022, probably May or June. I did that video. I still think, that was my best performing video that I did. And I feel like it's gonna stay that way. Because what am I talking about right now? What am I talking about? My favorite band again. Oh, and I'm wearing it right here. Cabaret Voltaire, my favorite band. Stephen Mallender is my hero. He is God. He is absolutely amazing. And there's nobody like that. I mean, there are a lot of amazing people. You may not be familiar with him, and it's okay. That's what makes the whole story that much more great. But it changed my life when I was 19 years old. So I was 18 going on 19, and I got into alcohol. I started drinking and gambling and having a great time. I was actually pretty responsible with the gambling, surprisingly. And just when the alcohol started to taste that good, when I could have been an alcoholic, I heard that band for the first time. I will never be an alcoholic. I can't. It's not possible. I mean, I like who I became. Art started improving. Who I became, everything that started happening as of that precise moment changed my life. And it's more than that. One thing that Cabaret Voltaire teaches you is how to see the world for how it is. Instead of ignoring things, getting soaked up in whatever we're getting soaked up into, this is the kind of music that teaches you how to see beyond the threshold. Instead of ignoring it, maybe we do need to fix something. Maybe there is a lot of work we should be doing. It's that kind of music. It might even bring a little discomfort. Not in the way you think, though. I mean, you know how we watch movies and there's those parts in a movie that are like, ooh, they make you feel a little uncomfortable and they might make you think about something that about yourself, make you a little uncomfortable, just enough to make you want to become better. And I think that's important. When music can do the opposite, instead of being something that is escapist, it's actually putting everything in front of you. That's the difference. It's very different stuff. And it may not be for everybody. It may not be for everybody. And there's a lot of different artists who do something very similar. and I was already growing up listening to that kind of music. I started out my favorite band. I was 4 years old, 4 years old. My favorite band was Genesis, Phil Collins and Peter Gabriel. Little kid, that's what I liked. And you couldn't convince me otherwise. That's what I liked. And I kept going on from there. I knew who I was, and when I got into the public, I started going to school. I was the only person that listened to that. And I knew that. As I got older, it's like there's nobody like me. And I kept going with that. Of course, I had my moments when I was in high school where I tried to fit in. That's the time to do it. When you're in high school, that's when you want to fit in. But when you're not in school anymore, you should know who you are. And the things you listen to, the things you invest your time into, you wouldn't believe how much they speak to you. It tells me a lot about you. I take those things really serious. And so when I put together these cassette tapes, I want to push more into that. It's like I want to face reality. I believe in the opposite. I don't, a lot of films I watch too. It's like when you talk about film, like people like Darren Aronofsky, I'm into the unusual. I like something that is going to make me see beyond a convenient fiction, something that's easy. Oh, it's a fun story, and we all have room for that. And I like that too. I love comedy. Love comedy. But I like that I can take something serious. And I think with music, you can really grasp onto that. And as an artist, I do storyboarding as well. Helps me kind of see the scenes. Because as a storyboard artist, you're the first person to watch the movie before it's made. Did you know that? You can see what other people cannot. And music plays a role. Music plays a role. It is getting pretty late, but it's not too late. But yeah, this is the longest video I think. Oh, we're into an hour. Into an hour. That's pretty interesting. Yeah, music is the main thing with my channel. And I think that no matter how far I try to stray away from it, it goes right back to that. Something always brings me back. I mentioned that house that was on fire. And I had a dream about that house. Stephen Mallender, my hero, asked me to take him to that house. And I said, but it's burned down. He's like, I want you to take me to that house and I want you to get some sound of people just in the area. And I want you to mix that into some music. So I know I have to do it. I know I have to do it. Oh, got some. It's awesome. I make music. I like Tom York. You know, I think I remember he mixed something with what's his name? I cannot remember. There was a track that he collaborated with another artist on that I remember liking a lot, but I never really checked out that guy. I know he was with the lead singer to Radiohead. I know Radiohead's really popular. I never even jumped into that because I got so far into the underground that, but I understand because I know, yes, absolutely. I know, yeah. I was so into the underground music. I never even got to that. And I hear a lot of good things about Radiohead. I'm a huge Warren Zevon fan, if you know who he is. The Werewolves of London, the guy who did that song. I had an interesting experience with that gentleman, and he quite likes that band. And that was surprising because of how unlike his music they are. Interesting guy, and I have a lot of interesting stories about musicians, but they're spiritual. They are definitely. I mean, I don't like to use the word spiritual. I feel like that's a word that's being thrown around a lot, but really interesting stories. They started out underground in the 90s. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. I was a kid. I think I was just starting high school, and I remember seeing one of their albums in Best Buy when I was with my dad. I think I remember that. That's one of those bands that kept passing me by, and I never jumped into it. I don't know why. I was so deeply invested in what I was doing at the time when I saw that too. At that time, I'm a huge Depeche Mode. All I could think about was getting Depeche Mode albums on CD. And if I couldn't find Depeche Mode CDs, I was looking for Kraftwerk CDs. And I found, I think, one. I found one, but it was so hard to find music like that. And I'm sure that even for this time. But yeah, Radiohead, I have very much heard of them. Very familiar with the name and Tom York. I have that one song. I cannot remember who he collaborated with. That I like that track. It's on my tape too. I cannot remember. He collaborated with another artist, and I cannot come up with a name. I cannot come up with a name, and it's pretty cool. But yeah, he does really interesting work. Absolutely, he does. We need to have more of that kind of artistry. But I'm really hardcore underground. I mean, I'm Ariel Pink, I'm John Mouse, I'm really into the unknown. There's a channel on YouTube, a couple different ones. There's quite a slew of them now. One of them is called Harakari Diot. The other one is, if I'm pronouncing them wrong, let me know. Tago Slechem. Tago Slechem. And there's a lot of these private label albums by, a lot of different unknown groups. And they are really, some of them are just incredible. I listen to some real unknown stuff. They're the kind of bands that, like, you won't remember the name of them. They're those kind of bands. The name is real long, and sometimes they're in some other, like, it might just be like another language because a lot of these bands come from other countries. I've seen that too. So I definitely, I'm glad I did this. I almost didn't decide to do this live today. And I thought, well, maybe I'll do it because I'm feeling pretty introspective tonight. And I thought maybe we'll talk about the election results. But then I saw how popular that is and all the reactions that people have. I'm like, I don't know. I don't have much of an image right now. I don't think I can afford to do that to myself. It's a very sensitive issue. It's, and I respect that. Most folks don't. It'd be so easy if you're going this way, if you're right, and you see everyone lost, and you stick it to them, laugh at them, point at them, clown on them, because it's so easy. And you see how that could go the other way as well. Should a different result took place. And I just think it's time to be more mature. I think it's time to look at ourselves and become better people. It's like, oh, I hear that a lot. You hear it a lot, but no one actually does it, and that's why you continue to hear it a lot because people don't actually do it. They'll say it, but how many people actually do it on a given day? Even myself, it's hard to stick to something, and it's okay to feel emotional about something, but you have to understand reason and logic, which I talk about with the music thing. It helps me understand that. Looking at something for what it is, going to the source and seeing. When you look at all the people that are reacting based off of the situation, you look at the way they react, you see how angry some of them are just being funny. Try to remember that too. Some of those are scripted and they're just having a little fun. But also, yeah, It it's always what you say it is. It's always what you say it is. I don't know what that means. Interesting. That's a fascinating reaction. Yeah, I wonder what that means. It's always what you say it is. We're allowed to feel. Everyone should feel something, but then you take the amount of integrity you have, and you have a healthy relationship with yourself, and you can look at things with a bigger and greater perspective. It's like I'm a huge Star Trek fan. I love Star Trek. And I just recently became a Star Trek fan. I always liked the original series, but I always kind of scoffed at the rest of it. Then recently I got into Next Generation. It changed. It was amazing. Like I can't believe I missed it. But picture yourself in the Enterprise looking down at the planet, and you've got this side looking, and they're angry at each other. What do you do? What do you do? Do you get involved? How do you explain that one side might be right and one side might not be? Is that it? I don't think so. And you sit down at the table, you got Picard, you got Diana Troy, you got Worf. We're all sitting down trying to figure out what far left and far right is. But what is it? You have to look at it that way. Scientifically sometimes. Look at it through logic. Look at all the emotion that's packed into all of it. You have to step away from it and look at it. What exactly is it though? What would you be able to do? And I'm not saying I know, because I don't. That's why I'm talking about it. It's like I really don't get it. It's so easy and yet it isn't. You know, you can really hate someone so much and you can have it figured out. And when you open your hand, there's nothing in it. What exactly are you hating and why? How much sleep are you losing? How much what are you doing to yourself? You live once. What can you do for yourself now? And show people how happy you are with what you can do for yourself. It's not going to change the way the sun sets. It's not going to change that. It's not going to change what time I decide to get up in the morning. I got to take care of myself because no one's going to do it for me, you know? So I look at it that way. I I try to be respectful of everybody's situation. You'll see that a lot of people on the far right now are just having a lot of fun. And they're laughing and they're making fun of all these reactions that people are, garnering. Again, some of them are scripted. Try to remember that. A lot of this stuff too, and I want you to understand this. Look at me. When you watch a video on YouTube or Chickadee Talk, hold on. Have you heard of the Sedona method? Sedona, Arizona? No, I have not. I'm sorry. I have been to Sedona. I've only driven through there though. I never got to stop anywhere. But I don't know what that is, Sedona method. Never heard of that. And I don't have my phone near me either to look it up because I'm an idiot. And I make this really clear. I'm not the smartest thing out there. So I try to be the best version of myself, knowing full and well that I'm not very smart. That's the first sign of intelligence, too. It's a practice you should look into. A practice. Hmm. I hope. Well, I'll have to look into it. I'll check it out, see what it's about. I have to look it up, but it's going to take me. Let's see what else. Have you heard of the Silva method? I haven't heard of any of this. I don't know any of this. I don't know any of this. It's very positive. I like positive. That's always a good thing with me. I like being kind of like mature about things. I like to practice that. I'm into stoicism. I like being stoic. I've met a lot of people that aren't. And I thought, maybe I should try that. I practice and help people using it. Oh, interesting. So I think it must be on your channel. Am I right? So we've got the Silva method and the Sedona method. I'll have to check this out. See, you learn something every day. And that's what I just said earlier. I said, I always manage to go to bed having learned something every day. Every single day I learn something. Whether it's out, maybe it is on YouTube, but I learn something every day. Oh. So yeah, when I don't really talk about politics. And the thing is with me too, there's a lot we don't know. There's a lot of things we don't know. There's people that think like conspiratorially, and they think that things are going to happen tomorrow, and asteroids are going to fall out of the sky and crash into the earth tomorrow. The Matrix might be real. Aliens are going to come out of nowhere. AI is going to take over the world. There's people that think like that. And there's a reason why people think like that because nothing happens. The world is a boring place. It's up to you to make it interesting. Then it won't be. And these people, they live by that because they need that excitement in their life because they're not happy. Something's not working. So they rely on a delusion to make the background of their life look a little bit more interesting, even though it isn't. And as nothing apocalyptic will ever happen, because it won't, the problem is nothing happens. And that's what sustains that. That's why that exists. That exists because nothing's happening. It's up to you to make things happen. And then we won't be in that situation all the time. Because at the end of the day, those are movies. They are sci fi movies. Well written. And if you have one of those crazy delusions, maybe you might just be the next screenwriter. You can make some money. Things happen. Things happen. They do. They happen. But I'm talking about an apocalyptic scale. I'm talking about apocalyptic stuff. People are very conspiratorial. And it's okay. It's okay to think that. I don't, but it's okay. But there are things that happen all the time. We just talked about that fire. Those things like that that happen every single day. And you could be blind to that because you're waiting for something like this to happen. So stay cognizant. And I like this. It's very true. Very true. Things do happen. And if you're awake and you're seeing these things, but you have a good relationship with yourself and you have those investments, you're not thinking like these people because it's alive for you. Things are really alive for you. That's about this. That's what it comes down to. A lot of people don't do that. They can get caught up in it. There's that whole red pill thing. I'm sure you guys might have heard of that. Scared the crap out of me. Like, oh my God, that's what's happening now? It's red pill content. It's like, look at all the stuff we're seeing. I don't even know where to. I'm like, what is happening? Remember when I go out in the world All the stuff that I see on the internet doesn't have. It's on the internet, it stays on the as it should, as it should. No, things happen. Things happen all the time. All the time. It's so easy to think that an apocalyptic thing can happen so you don't have to care. And it won't. There will be no San Andreas Fault. There will be no Yellowstone volcano. There'll be no asteroid. Not in our lifetime. You can't be so sure about that. I can't be so sure about that. And you're right. But if you're going to wait for it to happen, and why would you? You'll be waiting a while. A long while. Might as well enjoy yourself. The worst thing to do is to become Ivan Ilyich. I don't want to become an Ivan Ilyich. I don't want to live a life that's not yours. If you have an imagination, hey, write a movie. It's probably the best you could do. Because that's all it'll ever be. The Matrix got so popular, people wrote delusions around it. That's how successful that movie was. But that's really all it is. I'm a firm believer that things just don't happen in that way. In that way. You want to make your life interesting, you got to do it. And I chose to do that. And I don't take it back. I made a lot of mistakes too. I got to tell you that, man. 2013 through 2020, bad luck. 2013 all the way through 2020, bad luck. And all of a sudden, 2021, my luck just completely turned around. Just turned around. Amazing. Even though the work was great, 2013 through 2019, the acting work was extraordinary. You could find a lot of work, and you didn't even have to go to LA. You could literally go drive down to the strip, and you worked all the time. But outside of that, my life personally, mm, hell, absolute hell. I'm a lot happier now. Yeah, the work isn't what it used to be, but it won't be this way forever. I know that too. A lot of people, oh, Hollywood's coming apart. Hollywood's coming apart. Everybody's saying that right now. I've been hearing that for years, and there's some truth to that. It's not entirely false, but Hollywood is one of those businesses that just can't fail. Even if they do, they still don't. Oh, Hollywood's coming apart. Hollywood's coming apart. Then I get a message from Julie Goldman tomorrow. Well, I guess I'm fine, and I take that serious. That is amazing. Not a lot of people can say they have that. And the funny story behind Julie Goldman, I would not know who she is, and I wouldn't be where I am today if I hadn't met this person. I met somebody named Joey Bell. When I first got into the business, I think it was late 2013. I met this guy, Joey Bell. I had the biggest crush on this guy. And I almost didn't go up to him because I'm too shy. I almost let him walk away. I was almost going to let him walk past me. But I thought maybe I'll ask him for a cigarette. No, I'm so shy. I like him. And I went up to him, changed my life. Just like that. Just because of that precise decision to do. I've never been wrong, even when I wanted to be. It was amazing. I would not have what I have now if I had not walked up to him in 2014, April the 8th. I remember the day. April the 8th, I met Joey Bell, and he got me signed with all these people: Cheryl Murphy, Bryson, all these people. I didn't know who they were. And I didn't know. That would have been my last gig. I got it from some weird website that went defunct, and I just got lucky. Well, it looks like our listener pad went down, so we're back to no listeners again. But it was pretty cool. Somebody sat in and listened on me. That's pretty cool. To Lee Jensen, he actually was a head PA on the set of Jason Bourne. That was the last movie they filmed before they imploded the Riviera. Yeah, he was also on Mall Cop. I remember he was on Mall Cop. And I do think he was on, I believe, I could be wrong, but there was a movie with Nicolas Cage in it. I'm trying to remember. The Truth? It's called Truth? Something like that. I think I remember seeing him on that too. I could be wrong. So now I gotta check his channel out because I'm always interested in seeing real candid channels like that. So yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up for now because we are definitely going into 2 hours here. We are definitely heading that direction. So this is pretty good live. I'd have to say this one, my last one, I didn't get anybody, but now see, my question is, I wonder if anyone can actually access these or come across them, after having been done. That's a question too. I have never seen that. You see, I'm new to this. I'm new to a lot of this. So I'm gonna go ahead and end it here. Thank you everyone who did sit and watch and listen. And thank you so much. It really means a lot.